my most requested iron brand to review in quite some time. But let's not hear just my thoughts. Let's hear some of yours. Sadly, he took his wig off. I was hoping the wig was staying on for the video, to be perfectly honest.
£800?
£800. Have you heard of them before?
No, I haven't.
I'll take the heat if you get in trouble. Have you?
Yeah, I was interested. I was looking at getting them.
Now, of a player of your caliber, what's your thoughts? Oh, wow. I have kindly been lent a set of direct-to-consumer irons from the brand themselves, and this set of irons has been heavily requested on the channel, and I imagine that's because of the price point. £589 for the pitching wedge. Very aesthetically pleasing, and by all accounts, through all the comments I've seen through social media, the feedback has been overwhelmingly positive. But I want to do two things different in this video. Not only are you going to hear from my opinion, I wanted to get some members of the public, the average golfers around here at Sanford Springs, and their thoughts on these clubs, aesthetics, build quality, as well as what they determine or perceive these irons to retail at. And then number two, because let's be honest, this is a second-hand golf club channel through and through, at £589, these are definitely more affordable when we look at the higher end of the spectrum, but that's not cheap. That's still quite a bit of change. Therefore, with a budget of around £600, there or thereabouts, what alternative is there when you want to slap a big name on the back of it? And ultimately, I want to hear from you guys, what are you choosing at the end of this video? A brand new set of these or the second-hand premium set brand? Let's head over to Replay and show you the one that I want to contend with against these. And big thank you to the boys at Replay Golf for helping me out in these kind of situations, as if there's clubs that I need to obviously find, they more than likely will have them in stock. And up first we had the Mizuno HMBs, same loft as these particular irons at 32 degrees, but overall the HMB are a lot bigger, a bit more offset, and definitely a lot more forgiving, and quite similar to a P790 head style. Up next we have the Titleist T100S, and I thought actually these would be a perfect fit, and they definitely could be a perfect fit if you're looking to spend around £500 in the second-hand market and looking to get a great looking iron with, again, similar loft, 32 degrees. Great shaft options, head options. However, the head design, again, I just don't think particularly mimics the type of irons that I'm trying to get, and aesthetics is everything when it comes to golf. Therefore, I feel I need to find a head design that is a very close comparison to the ones that I want to test against. Therefore, the P770 was the winner. Sadly, not exactly the same loft. These are actually more lofted at 33 degrees. And obviously, we won't be doing distance comparisons because I haven't got exact same shaft and I haven't got the exact same head. And again, when it comes to iron, I find distance comparisons somewhat futile, as every golfer is different. If I hit one iron further than another, doesn't necessarily mean that you will as well. And even though the P770s are probably edged out a bit more expensive in the second-hand market than the brand new versions I'm testing today, I think with head design, aesthetics, overwhelming popularity with the public, this is my go-to comparison iron set that we're going to be taking to the golf course. Tacoma is the iron brand that we will be testing today alongside the P770. But before we get into that side-by-side review, and let's be honest, look at the negatives and positives of both options, I wanted to get some thoughts and opinions on a relatively unknown brand by a few golfers around the golf course. And by some of their thoughts and reviews, it looks like I picked a pretty good competitor to run up alongside it. Boys, weird request. Give me your initial reactions. Have you heard of them? You like a look of them? Take them out, have a look.
No, I never heard of them. They look very nice. They're very similar to the
P770, yeah, they do look quite similar to that, do they? 4 to pitching wedge, what would you pay price-wise?
About 600, 700 quid.
What are you boys thinking?
Yeah, I was thinking probably even more than that. They're Japanese. They're Japanese.
They're not actually from Finland, to be fair.
Who are they?
I can see what you say that though with the name. No, definitely.
They're nice. They're really nice over.
They look good, don't they?
Great.
Yeah, probably more than that. £1,000.
1,000.
What's pitching wedge? £800.
£800. 589 they are. 4 to
Really?
pitching wedge, yeah.
That's pretty good. Well,
Yeah, I've asked the group in front.
Did they do it?
Sadly, he took his wig off. I was hoping the wig was staying on for the video, to be perfectly honest. Have you heard of them before?
No.
They're called Como.
They look far too good for me.
What's your aesthetic wise? What do you think?
I like them.
Yeah, I like them a lot. They're very nice.
There's a guy coming through.
Yeah.
He's got a trolley, Michael. He's got. I think they look similar to the pings he's got. They're brand.
Oh yeah, like a Ping i500 almost, isn't it?
I think that's it. Yeah. Very nice.
What do you think price wise? What would you? It's 4 to pitching wedge. 4 to wedge.
1,200 quid.
1,200. What are you thinking?
I reckon an even 1,000.
Even 1,000.
800.
You're the closest. 589 they are. 4 to pitching wedge. Boys, I appreciate it.
That's all right.
Thank you ever so much. I want you to have a look at these irons. Don't worry, you won't be leaving your post. I'll take the heat if you get in trouble. Give me your thoughts on them. Have you heard of these yet?
Yeah, I've heard of it.
Have you?
Yeah, I was interested. I was looking at getting them.
Were you?
Yeah, I like
That's
them.
interesting. Which ones were you looking at? Do you know?
I can't remember.
I think
I saw them all over YouTube.
Yeah, they're heavy in the social media at the moment.
Yeah, smart.
Do you know how much they are? And then I'll let you go back to your
Set of
post.
irons,
4 to pitching wedge.
500.
Yeah, you're close. 589. Well, if you say something nice down the camera, you might be able to get a free set.
Really?
Relatively newish brand.
Okay.
Give me your thoughts on looks, aesthetics, and then give me a rough idea what you think you'd pay for them. 4 to pitching wedge.
Okay, so on first, literally just on first
Yeah,
appearances, I would say that they're probably more towards the economy end of the market rather than premium.
The premium, yeah. If you were to put a figure, 4 to pitching wedge, what would you say?
300 quid maybe?
300 quid.
Yeah,
What would you
something
say?
like 250.
589 they are.
Christ.
589 4 to pitching wedge.
So I would say that's quite a high end.
Quite high end. Boys, I appreciate your time.
Yeah,
Thank you
take
ever so
care.
much.
All the best.
Can you give me your quick thoughts on these? I've just been sent them. Now, of a player of your calibre, what's your thoughts?
The shafts are good.
I know you got a shoot. What do you think they are 4 to pitching wedge price wise?
Well, based on the information that you're trying to get to me, I imagine they'll be quite cheap, but they look good actually. I guess they look premium, but I guess you're going to tell me that
They are. They're definitely more affordable. They're like direct to consumer, they are.
Yeah, I mean,
But they're not cheap to be fair. 589 they are.
I was going to say 500, but
Yeah.
not because I actually had a clue, just because that sounded like right to me, and I thought mine was fucking cheaper than theirs.
What I found fascinating through that test is how diverse people's opinions are, what they perceive as valuable or what they perceive as cheap. As there was 2 guys that thought it was more of an affordable brand, 2 of the groups thought it was heavily premium, almost at £1,000, and then James pretty much getting the nail on the head, around £500 for 4 to pitching wedge, which goes to show how much of this game is purely down to perception. Now, this is not a fair test. We have different shafts in both. The P770 is also a degree more lofted at 33 degrees compared to the 101T Tacoma irons, that's 32 degrees, but that's not the point of this test. I believe if you are in the market or thinking about getting a full set of these, potentially second hand for £600, £650, price might vary, well then you're probably going to like the look, the aesthetics of this one here, and the fact you can get a brand new set with a shaft option, grift option, all the other customized options, definitely might tickle your fancy. However, before we get into that, one thing I found fascinating through that test is everyone's perception of what an expensive set of irons actually is. Oh, well that's ripped and not coming back. 770 up first, because some people thought £500 is the top end, and I just presumed all people that play golf knew that iron sets are that expensive. £1,000 at the premium end, your TaylorMade, your Callaway, your Ping, maybe £800 to £1,000, somewhere around that ballpark. And then other golfers knew that £1,000 is at the top end and perceived that because these looked good, was sleek, and overall have a good looking build quality, that these would retail at £1,000, and were very much shocked when they weren't. Oh, wow. I mean, I know I've pulled that, and that's definitely not the club, but I wasn't expecting that sound or feel whatsoever. Hang on, boys and girls. We're gonna have to hit another one. How interesting. It wasn't a mistake. That actually felt really good. So let's talk about Tacoma quickly. Manufactured in Finland, which, let's be honest, is quite surprising, especially with the name. I'm sure a lot of us naively thought when we saw this brand originally, it's a Japanese company with a name like Tacoma. I have the 101T irons here, which is the one down for their most forgiving iron set, which is the 101, which you could probably compare mostly to the P790. Similar kind of loft, and again, a slightly bigger, chunkier design. However, from my first initial shot with the 101T, I feel like I picked up the wrong set of irons to compare it to, because the sound and feel of it just screamed Ping i500. There's just no question about it. And that probably makes sense considering this isn't a forged club, opposed to the P770 that I got alongside me on the golf course. That being said, it feels and sounds great. It's more of a case of apple versus oranges. They both taste great, but sometimes you might just fancy one more than the other. And that again is ripped. Even though I thought it was important to show you my first initial reaction of both irons, as to be honest, I've never even tested the P770s before. I played a few more holes, hence why the sun is somewhat lower, to gather my thoughts, pros and cons of both. And I think I figured it out. Oh, here's a good iron, the 770. Ultimately, whatever you pick, decide, anything else like that, it still astonishes me. Direct to consumer, they're up and coming, they're getting bigger, they're growing, they use social media, they don't need tour players, they don't need shops, they don't need retailers, they don't need any global giants. And what they're producing is some high quality stuff. And when you look at £1,000 set of irons when it first came out, £979, and a set of irons that's almost £400 cheaper, it's really difficult to pick apart what's better between them. So I want to put the P770s to one side because it's not a fair test. They're different lofts, slightly different head design. And to be honest, the only reason I picked them is because they're very similar in terms of aesthetics. But here's the downside of the Tacoma irons. Especially if you live in the UK, you can't try and test them in person. Meaning you have to take the plunge without hitting them first, which, to be honest, goes against the #1 rule of my channel. But then, to my surprise, I researched what these were selling for secondhand, because I thought there would be no market for them whatsoever. And to find 4 to pitch and wedge in the 101T, for example, it's getting around £400, £450, some less, some slightly higher, which reassured me quite a bit. Meaning, with the combination of the comments I'm reading through social media of how much people are in love with them and they like them and feel like they're a part of this special community that's getting a bit of a bargain for the price and performance. Not to mention, there's a good portion of people looking for these second-hand, meaning if you were to take the plunge, £589 for to pitch and wedge, because even though that's cheap compared to the premium models in the market, it's not stupidly cheap. You can be reassured that if you don't get on with them for whatever reason, and you don't agree with the reviews and comments, or even my video here, there's more than likely someone that's going to pick them up off you for pretty much 2/3 of the price. Here's the summary of these irons. Because I brought out the wrong iron set, these sound and feel like the Ping i500. And not to mention, if you want a forged iron from Tacoma, they're the same price. They're not more expensive like most brands, and you can get slightly more loft and you can get a slightly sleeker design. But ultimately, these feel like the Ping i500, or maybe the Ping Blueprint, even though this is more forgiving. They're not clicky, but they feel like they've got a bit of spring behind the face. Ultimately, direct-to-consumer brands are here to stay. They're getting bigger, they're getting faster. And for me personally, it gives me a small glimpse on how much it actually costs to manufacture build, put together, globally ship iron, a driver, a wedge when you don't have a massive tour bill, when you don't have a massive marketing budget, and maybe when you don't have a worldwide infrastructure like some of the big companies. And it does get you thinking, when you buy a big name brand club, brand new, how much of it is actually going into the club itself and how much of it's actually going into supplying and keeping alive the business in general. And some of you might be thinking, well done Simon, you just discovered how businesses work. If you like this video, leave it a like, subscribe if you're new, and if you like the idea of direct to consumer brands, check out my video of Sub 70 up here on the right hand side. Catch you guys later.